You've been serving everyone, yet being served the least. Not anymore. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. That was a phenomenal interview with Dr. Ali Hicks. And I'm here to do a recap to talk about all the things. We covered so much, but it's so necessary to break it down because this life we're living and moving towards personal freedom is really complex. And I just want to give you a summary of some of the gems that were in that episode and how Dr. Ali is continuing on her purpose, helping women all over the world. Now, we started off talking about purpose and truly allowing purpose to fall in line with our lives. And so Dr. Ali told us her purpose. She was relentless in wanting to figure it out. And I love her dedication to all things women in the various forms that she presents it. She told you about her do cards. She has her virtual counseling. She does brand consulting, all the things. We're really similar because we are about freedom. Dr. Ali talked about the paradigm shift of women seeking therapy. And I can tell you, especially in COVID-19, we saw an influx of mental health and women deciding to say, I've been serving everyone, yet being served the least. Not anymore. But she also said it's a bit easier for women because communication and vulnerability is associated with femininity. But are we allowed in society to be vulnerable? She said that in the positive, but I have a feeling that it's still not that space for women to truly be seen, valued, and heard, and bring the emotion that goes along with it. Black women are going through a lot and doing all of the things. We're literally in a mental health pandemic. Black women are tired. We want support. We are tired of being a strong Black woman, tired of being a superwoman. Now, again, this podcast is all about holding ourselves in high regard. And I know that women are trying to understand, what does that look like? What is the pathway to freedom? And so she spoke a lot about the benefits of having a therapist. One of the best benefits is, you don't need to know what your therapist is going through today. It's not a reciprocal relationship. And so one of the ways to hold us in high regard is to get someone who is completely dedicated to your transformation. And that is the benefit of getting outside help. We also talked a little bit about how the body keeps the score. That's a book that we both read. And I said it was 14 hours, but it's actually a 16-hour Audible that I got through that offers so much insight on how we tend to hold our pain in our bodies. I believe it's a journey of self-awareness because oftentimes when our pain hits our body, it's literally the last step of our body saying, listen, something is wrong. You're not crazy. You're not being gaslit anymore, not from the body. Something is up. And so for everyone listening to this, if you haven't gotten that book, go ahead and get the book, The Body Keeps the Score. Really insightful information on how we show up in the world and the impact on our physical health. But people tend to discount the Black woman's experience. I gave an example of how that happened for me, 10, 11, 12 years ago. And I just got my lipoma surgery in October of 2021. But for over a decade, I wasn't able to be seen, valued, and heard when I called out my pain for all those many years. Because, the way medical doctors respond to Black people is if we're not allowed to be vulnerable, that we can handle our pain, that it's usually not as serious as we think it is. And so we walk around confused about what we're actually feeling because we aren't allowed to feel. Now let's talk about how this manifests itself when we talk about trauma in families. We talked about that a lot. Her mindset is, and what she's seeing with working with people is, the world is so hard on kids. Why do we have to be so hard on kids? It seems as if there's no place to be safe as a Black human being. When you attach to your caregiver, because we really need to feel accepted by someone. And as a child, it usually comes from your caregiver. But sometimes we grow differently. Most of the times we grow differently because we're individuals. And Dr. Ali is begging for a paradigm shift in Black families. She wants a pivot so that we can raise more healthy and safe children. And I happen to agree with her. When I think about my life, I was extremely privileged, but unsafe. And so I really resonated with her when she basically said it plain as day. We want to raise healthy and safe children. There's nothing wrong with giving softness to your kids. They need to experience unconditional love. Unconditional love means no matter what you've done, who you think you are, the negative things that have been said about you, I still love you unconditionally. Now, she talked about kids needing a healthy home base so they can feel free. And she brought up an author or researcher, Carl Rogers, who came up with unconditional positive regard. Unconditional positive regard is basically saying, no matter what, you matter. And if we don't have unconditional positive regard, we will do anything to get the love we are seeking. How many times have you, as a woman, got into friendships that were unhealthy, dated men who didn't make you a priority, and somehow you've accepted it? I know that was my life. I'm still working out of those ways because so deeply I was not seen, valued, or heard for exactly who I am. So even when I think I'm doing better, there's a lot more learning that needs to happen. And so with that being said, parents can't be the center and not allow their children to be seen. What I told you guys before in a previous episode is that for me, it was a weapon for me to be expressive. Literally, when I talked, I was wrong. And I carry that into all of my life happenings, whether it was work, personal, school. I had this belief that something is wrong with me, I'm too much, and everyone has to let me know that I'm the one that needs to change. Now, this lends itself to my childhood experiences, not just with my mom, with my dad, aunts, cousins, nieces, nephews, everybody. It carried on to how I was treated within my family. Only I just now realized a few years ago how toxic and detrimental it was to my overall quality of life. Now, Dr. Ali, in transitioning on that topic, we talked about her work on the OWN channel, Discovery Plus channel, where she works with mother and daughter relationships. I asked her, I said, were these women scared to confront each other? I can imagine that there's a level of fear. And what she said was, daughters are a reflection of their mothers. And mothers see things that they don't want to see in their daughters. And because of that, there is a level of fear when mothers and daughters interact with each other. Basically it's all about projection. She still remembers the example from her professor in college. And basically when people are talking about somebody else, they're really talking about themselves. I remember that self-awareness I got with my therapist. I always tell people now, turn that mirror around and say it to yourself, because it's something within you that you are not happy with. And really, to put so much critique on someone else when we're not showing up and being self-aware ourselves, it's such a missed opportunity for transformation. But some people just aren't ready to look at themselves and their behaviors. And those behaviors can include vulnerabilities, trauma, anger, again, projection, all of this that they have experienced over the course of their life. But what Dr. Ali does, and I do this as well, is to help people process this self-awareness as they navigate through. I allow you to call a thing, but again, give you unconditional positive regard. That's basically what I call truth and accountability, self-awareness, honesty, and why don't we add just a little bit of grace there? Now, I decided to interview Dr. Ali when we met each other at an event in Los Angeles. I went up to her afterwards just to thank her for the talk and her contribution. And as I was telling her a little bit about my story, she mentioned something called dialectical behavioral therapy. And basically what this is a cognitive behavioral treatment developed by Marsha Linehan in the 1980s. Like she said, that's the third wave of research theorists, because this woman is not old by any means. And we're used to hearing researchers being old folks or people who are not around anymore. Basically what dialectical behavioral therapy consists of is, we can only be as effective as we can be. Like this is about capacity. And so I often say people are doing the best that they can, and sometimes their best is trash. What I'm saying is this is the best that you can do. This is your capacity. And what that has done for me is to give me a peace to walk away from the things that don't align with the life that I want. But in doing this therapy, she said this is a place to learn how to communicate and learn how to emotionally connect. It's about emotional regulation. It helps provide people with new skills to manage painful emotions and decrease conflict in relationships. These skills are thought to have capability of helping those who wish to improve their ability to regulate emotions, tolerate distress, and negative emotions. Be mindful and present in the given moment and communicate and interact effectively with others. When I first started therapy, I realized how terrible I was in this area. Mostly because I didn't have a space to really express myself. When I did, I was usually reactive in the form of acting out, in the form of emotional, like I would cry. I would always say, why me? Why is this happening? I had no way to get on solid ground. When I turned my back, whether it was coming from my job or my home life or a man, brothers or sisters, I was told that how I was showing up was wrong. In fact, my mom from the age, she always says, you've been like this since you were 15 years old. And I guess I'm going to equate that to being an emotional wreck. Now, what I always think about is, well, Mom, you raised me. I'm still a child. And so even in my 30s, she's telling me this. I'm thinking, but do you realize I was a child? And so instead of helping me, it added to my lack of self-esteem and not being able to manage my emotions and to have healthy relationships. But again, like I'm going to tell you and keep on telling you, I do not blame my mama. I love my mama. I just blame the system of generational trauma. And I realize sometimes, again, people can only be as effective as they can be. That was her capacity. And I accept that that's all that she could do at that time. Which is why your vibe, your tribe is so important. Community is essential in regulating your emotions and having an overall quality of life. I call that freedom. And so Dr. Ali, when we talked about her habits and what she does to show up for herself, she pours into her friendships. She makes time for her relationships. Again, time is one of the things that we can't buy, but sure it holds a lot of value. So the fact that she makes time for her relationships shows a great deal of respect she has for the people who she is in relationship with. Again, I like using the word intimacy because intimacy is nothing but relationship. And so she makes it a point to get intimate with her community. Also, knowing who you are is very important. She likes to express herself. She does not like to keep things in. What I appreciate about her saying that is that, when I was growing up, I was afraid to express myself. Now, if anyone knows me, they're like, Toya talks all the time. But I remember talking to my therapist. She says, you talk, but you don't tell people the deepest parts of you. So I'm pretty vague. So me being able to now express myself is huge in me feeling confident in who I am and not having to worry about what the world is saying about me. That's so huge. Also, I have a community now. Like I had a lot of friends, and trust me, a lot of them are gone, but there are new people present and people who managed to make it through my transformation because boy, oh boy, do they need a medal. But now I'm able to express myself and they give me the space to be seen, valued, and heard. I'm overwhelmed at their support. I'm overwhelmed at how they love on me. It's a new feeling and I'm happy to embark on that journey. For me, I call it all ends with community. But your community, your vibe, your tribe also includes how you hold yourself in high regard. And so how Dr. Ali keeps herself in high regard, I love how she talked about her unconventional ways to show up for herself and create daily habits. She said sometimes she walks in circles because she knows she needs to be active, but she does not have time to commit to a schedule daily. To still hold up to the things that she wants to do in life, she incorporates walking while she's writing a book or walking in circles when she's working on an assignment or talking with a client. I love that it does not have to be conventional. It's whatever it needs to be for her to show up for herself. This is how she stays in her happy place. She also cares about her diet, and she created her own practice of healthy habits throughout her day. So women who understand moving towards freedom, understand what it means to hold yourself in high regard, are doing all of these things. And again, it does not have to look like what the world thinks it should be. It's totally what we've designed it to be. And it works for us, and we're validated because we know we're worthy. And it's even better, right? Cherry on top, we have a community that validates us also. Now, we started talking about, decolonizing mental health. We had a moment because we talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs because I have the hierarchy of personal freedom. And I told her I created it because Maslow's hierarchy of needs just wasn't made for Black women. At the bottom of Maslow is food, water, basic needs. And what I told her, Black folks gonna eat. We gonna cook and eat. They had us eating everything back in the day. Chicken feet, liver, pig's feet, all of that. We will eat if we need to. So for me, that's not where we need to start. And hierarchy of personal freedom, what I created, starts with spiritual grounding. And how are you making meaning of the world as soon as you open your eyes? For me, that helps to ground, and that's where peace is. So I love her take on decolonizing mental health and moving towards what she said, collectivism versus individualism. When I gave her that example of why Maslow's doesn't work, she was happy to hear that I created something like that, because the hierarchy of personal freedom also focuses on the human interaction and belonging to a group. your social engagements. You know, we have an area called relationships on the hierarchy of personal freedom. It all ends with community. We just talked a little bit about that, but it accounts for who are the people around you that are supporting you, validating you, making you feel good throughout the day. And what individualism does is it focuses on the individual journey instead of focusing on human interaction and engagement. And so, you know, when life is hard and you're living in individualism, oftentimes you take approach to, oh my God, my life sucks. Who's going to help me? There's no one there. I'm all alone. And again, we are not meant to be in this world alone. And so people are cognitively healthy when they are in connected systems where people feel esteemed and where people affirm them. That's one of the things she says, and I wholeheartedly agree, because when I look at my life, what I'm doing right now, living around the world, serving women, showing up for myself, there is a community around. I call it the underground society of women helping me move towards freedom. And there are also men there who also are telling me and showing me what my worth looks like in dollars. And that's a conversation for a later day, because I already told you, women out here are playing small, and men out here are super mediocre and getting paid roughly 3 times more than us because they just have the confidence and they've been affirmed to go for the big dollars and the big bucks. But I'm so thankful for my community, because even though that's happening for men, they don't have a problem with sharing and raising my level of confidence in myself. Thank God for my community. Those people don't judge me, and they don't make me feel ostracized. And I can tell you right now, having this journey and having my chosen family in America and the new people that I'm meeting, it takes a great deal of me being confident in who I am, because I'm around people all the time. I literally feel like I'm, what do we say? Like action. You know, I feel like I'm on the screen, like not necessarily performing, but I know that I'm just trying to show up for myself and represent myself well when I'm meeting new people. But also, like, I need to just be me also, and I'm grateful for that. But the community that I've cultivated, you know, wraps around you and give you an internal sense of individualism and collectivism, and they help you to live out real human experiences where you are affirmed and where you are validated, seen, valued, and heard. You can be vulnerable. You can do all the things. And they're like, hey, girl, like, you all good. I'm still here. You still worthy. Hopefully we know that on our own, but it's great when we have that person in front of us. I just talked about the community giving you the desires of your heart. Not only have I seen a financial abundance in the overall desires of my heart, but just making me feel safe and secure and protected are some of the very important things that are desires of my heart, because that's not what I felt growing up. And so I just want to say this episode was all about find your people, because they do exist. I'm so glad I found Dr. Allie. She's amazing. I spoke with her. I love her personality. You guys make sure you follow her on Instagram. I mean, she is just a firecracker out here in the world of mental health and doing all the things. It's just an honor and pleasure to speak to her. You know, we're doing very similar work. She brings another aesthetic component to hers. And I work in entertainment as well. And so it's just nice to have that girlfriend moment of us connecting with each other. I'm grateful at the women that I get to interview, that we get to share stories and talk about how we serve other women around the world. At the end of the day, you matter. I don't care what nobody tells you, you matter. You have to stay focused on you. You have to block it out. In this life, it's you versus you. And if you don't believe you matter first, you're going to go around and go outside and go around people who are going to affirm your belief. And I'm here to tell you, it just ain't true. You matter. You deserve to be seen, valued, and heard. You deserve to have support, and you deserve to move towards the desires of your heart. I call that personal freedom. So Now, with that being said, for any woman on this line or anybody, because I help women, but people across the African diaspora, look, I'm here for my Black folks. I offer virtual coaching. I help you build confidence, walk in your purpose, and make healthy, informed decisions about your personal and professional life. That's what I do. I guide you as you show up for yourself and enter the dreaming zone of life where you have better, positive relationships, all while holding yourself in the highest regard and making the most money you've ever made. Because it's not just about changing your life. Like, people want to make money. They want to be financially stable, whatever that is. But I mostly work with entrepreneurs who are trying to grow something. But I've also worked with women who work within companies, and I've seen them go into six figures and their whole life has changed. So I'm with any woman who understands that how they were raised affect how they show up in life now, how it affects their mental and physical health. And they're saying, I've been serving everyone, yet being served the least, not anymore. If that's you, I offer virtual coaching. You can get in touch with me at info@patentleatherproject.com. Next, there's consulting, right? Because I work with your brand and your business, like I said. I help small and medium-sized corporations develop their corporate identity and branding using mental health strategies and business strategic planning. I empower those teams and staff to build confidence and work towards the vision and mission of the company while also looking at their personal pursuits, right? There are people inside of buildings. It's not just a corporate mission, it's a human mission. There is a human who created that mission. And so I help you align that using mental health strategies and business strategic planning. Hit me up again at info@patentleatherproject.com. Another way you're going to be seeing me on the TV screen, I'm telling y'all going to see me on like Good Morning America, Married at First Sight, hell, even Love is Blind. Let's talk about it. I'm going to be everywhere because I am here for your transformation. I'm here to serve the most dynamic women around the world to hold themselves in high regard using these strategies, as well as people across the diaspora. So you'll see me featured on all of these places on your favorite TV screen. And I also might show up at your college or university. Yes, I'm helping the kids out too, because that's where I started to transform. And it's just near and dear to my heart to empower them as well as they are working within a system and showing up for themselves. Lastly, my Instagram. You can find me, Latoya Deshaun, LatoyaDeshaun, Latoya Deshaun, Instagram, Facebook, I don't know, Twitter, all the places. I'm mostly on Instagram, but sometimes I peek into the other ones. Also YouTube, Everything on Purpose with Latoya Deshaun. Go ahead and look me up. And then just so you guys know, I am a personal makeup artist to high profile talent. And you can view my work at latoyadeshaun.com. I will be getting signed to an agency soon. I'm speaking that into existence. That is happening. I've worked very hard. I do great work. And it took me a long time to see my worth, but I know it now. And so I'm going to get the assistance I need to continue to enter the dreaming zone with the desires of my heart. So go ahead and look at latoyadeshaun.com. Again, I am your mental health expert, business strategist, and I've even changed my name to say idealist coach. Look up the word idealist. It's someone who's not practical. I'm very radical in the desires of my heart. I'm very radical in your transformation and holding you in high regard. Stay here for a while. What you think is radical can become reality for you. Thank you guys for being here. I'll see you on the next episode.